Alright, so today's video, we're watching a Diamond 3 tank on PC. I'm going to be playing Winston D.Va, which is a fun hero pool. They say this is a frequent issue that I am facing, so I'd appreciate your help. I think I am a decent Winston player as I peaked GM a few seasons ago. Probably inflated and pre-Mauga. This is in there, they put that there. In a couple seasons in Overwatch 1, I was 4,100, which for anybody new to Overwatch, that's also GM. Then averaged around 3,700, which 3,700 would be Masters. I am now stuck in High Diamond, been 20% away from Masters 5 multiple times this season. I believe I should be at least mid-Masters and find that I can't play the tanks that I am good at. Am I doomed at playing Winston due to being a solo tank, or am I fundamentally doing something wrong? I play some D.Va at some point who isn't my strongest tank, but I feel like I need to learn her to actually climb because I feel like my Winston gets countered very easily. I think D.Va/Winston I can get back to GM. I am a firm believer that counters can make things extremely difficult, but a good player can outplay them. What do I think? Well, we'll find out, right? That's the magic of this all. We will find out, and I'll let you know. Here we go. It's Winston time. I will say, Winston's matchup against D.Va, I think, is starting to go in Winston's favor more. I'm not saying that, like, you can't get value against Winston as D.Va, but with, like, the new changes to, like, armor and, like, where D.Va can do, like, the crit damage, like, all of it is, like, less damage to Winston now. So before, it already felt like it was tough to get the Winston. Like, you could get the Winston if they misplayed. Now it feels like there's more survivability for the Winston against the D.Va, so, like, Winston's actually getting a little bit more value now, so. Good job taking the high ground. Jump out, wait, hide, going on the flank. This is all fine. All fine. Wait 3 seconds. Yep, you're good in your time and jump now. Perfect. Good job. Reason why I wanted them to wait 3 seconds is because they want to wait on their bubble on that, like, rotation they do. So, I think that was totally fine. Right? Everything was fine there, so, like, I'm not going to overdo anything on that one. I will say that one thing that you kind of did, like, your own thing half the time. And sometimes as Winston that will work really well, and sometimes it won't. So, I don't know. I'm just that's one thing I observed there, but, like, that doesn't really make or break. It's just, you kind of did your own thing, so, which can be fine. Alright, a lot of sniper Winston, but I get it. You're just trying to bait out cooldowns. Alright, you got their Soldier 76. Nice job going up on high ground here. They also have a Reaper, but keep in mind, Reaper is a little bit worse against Winston also. You have kind of like this double whammy now where you're a little bit better against a lot of, like, what was considered a counter for Winston. So, like, you saying that you can climb as Winston probably, where you think you can, is not incorrect. Good job recognizing the cooldowns. I would wait. I would just wait here. I'll wait. There you go. Now you're good. Nice. Good patience there. Like, wait on your team to get there before you dive in. Don't have to use your ultimate. All of that was good to me there. I'm okay with that. All of that I was cool with. Taking high ground control, jumping up to the high ground. So far, so good. I mean, yeah, I'm not really upset with how you're playing. You can ult this. Perfect ult. Good job. Got the soldier isolated. You know the character will use their cleanse. Oh, what a hinder! Good job. What rank is this? They're diamond. They used to be top 500. If you want me to get really particular with things, wasted bubble, but, like, it's irrelevant. By the time they're there, your bubble will be back again. I do that all the time too. That's why I'm just pointing that out. Like, yeah, so far so good. I don't really have anything perfect. Waiting on the nano, going in with the deep dive, bubbling off your left side a little bit. I would, yeah. Wow, jump. They might get you here though. You may have overcommitted slightly. We'll see though. Yeah, the health pack isn't there, so you've kind of already ended up in a unique spot here, but that was okay. Nice, good job. I mean, straight up, that was all good. I don't like see anything wrong with that. Only reason why that was even close is because they had gathered, like, they had got the health pack earlier, so it just seemed like it wasn't, like, you didn't know they got the health pack, so the way you played that was around the health pack. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even, like, see anything terrible so far. I was gonna say, don't ult that. I mean, so far your decision-making's been pretty good. Like, you didn't, like, waste your ult there in a situation where some people might have. Like, overall, not bad. Why no ult there? I can pause for a second to let you know. So the reason why you don't ult in that situation is because if there's a Kiriko ult going on, already Winston ultimate can be like somewhat countered. I say somewhat countered. Like obviously, like you can have a really good Winston ultimate, but if you're in front of a Kitsune, especially in that situation, like if there isn't a Kitsune there, I'm okay if Winston ults, but in a Kitsune, you're just asking to go from what is it, 1,000 HP to like 200 HP in half a second. You're just using it to survive. If you've already lost one, it feels like it's just a little bit better of an idea for your teammates to just reset and then go again and save your ultimate. Like, there's no reason to try to play that for survivability, because, like, it's not going to get you any value anyway, right? You're not going to get anything out of that. That's why you do it that way. Now you have your ultimate. They don't have Kitsune. Now you can get more value. Yep. Yeah, that's where you hear the terminology ult economy, is where, like, you can just win games by having correct ult usage, right? You don't need to win every fight, but it's very easy to finish with like 2 minutes on the clock if you use your ultimates correctly, because you're just basically giving them free fights to let them waste their ultimates. And then when you do that, you can in turn just go and win. Like right here, Alton's fine. You can ult this. Yep. And now you're going to look at that and go, oh, but they didn't need to, etc. But that you can't predict at that point that you're going to get a pick on the Tracer. That's just keeping the momentum going. I'm totally okay with that ultimate. Great job there on the Moira. Nice. Ooh, they went Bastion and Torb. Okay, this is a. I'm gonna be honest with you, and your reaction to that Bastion was to drop the bubble right there. I think you don't do that. I think you're better off just saving your bubble for like right in front of you, like right here. And that's only because it's going to protect your teammates. Now, obviously, you cap the point, you have a good time in there, etc. But, like, I would have liked to see you play that a little bit differently, just because I think you wasted your bubble when you could have used it anyway, and then they're just forced to, like, shred your bubble. Obviously, they got to the limb, and you won. But those are the plays that can also be 50-50, and the next thing you know, you get the points captured and all that. You know what I'm saying? So, not bad, just could have been a little bit better at the end there, but that's not bad at all. How do you counterpick someone? Well, it depends what tank they're on. I think is the way to, or what hero they're on. I mean, counterpicking is a part of Overwatch, especially in the tank role. I think a lot of players will. My mouse just died. 1 second, chat. A lot of tanks get counterpicked, so tanks can very much tell you about counterpicking very well. That was me just plugging in my mic. Is there a list somewhere for counters? I try not to make like counter lists, because then one, I don't want to get countered, but two, it can always shift, and I feel like I'm already trying to like teach people about how, like, it's not always about hard counters either, where, like, it's... Like, if you're a D.Va against a Zarya, you can still win, but on paper, Zarya is good against D.Va, but, like, you can also... There's ways to play against Zarya, so, like, I don't want to put it in, like, the mindset of you always have to switch, and then it becomes just this whole thing where, like... Yeah. We already see that with not shooting Zarya bubbles. Extra Hero, thanks for the Friedrich Prime, thank you. And Timeless DBZ, thank you for the Friedrich Prime. Thanks, everybody. What's a good counter for Reinhardt for a tank? I don't know yet. Ramatra might be okay. Ryan's definitely a lot better now. And it's interesting because the Ryan playstyle right now, also, I recommend being there at the beginning of the game on defense, although it's not going to matter much. Okay, so now they're on Hog, Cassidy, Reaper, Kiriko, Moira. I see why you swapped, because this is one of those situations where, can you make it work? Yes. Oh, did we extra hero? Heck yeah. Hopefully that's a good thing. What I'll say here is, you know, the reason why now you're in a situation where they've gone Hog, which Hog is clearly one of the more dominant tanks right now, and you're on Winston, it's like, do you want to... It's like you almost have to spend so much time trying to create value right now. It's like, is it worth staying on the Winston here? Now, on second point, I'd say so, but, like, who's your target here? And a lot of it's just going to be, like, forcing out cooldowns. Like, that's your whole target situation now. You're not going to be able to get a free pick on Kiriko. You're not going to be able to get a free pick on Moira. You're not going to be able to get a free pick on Reaper. And you certainly aren't going to be able to get Hog. So it leaves Cassidy, right? Like, which, as a Winston, you don't want to go for the Cassidy. But that's why it's all about just getting cooldowns out. Like, you need to get that Moira to use Fade. You need to get Hog to use Hook. And that's where it's like, does it become the next option is to just swap? Because you don't want to have to deal with all that. Because it's just like, you're trying to do so much to get, like, this value that can be so hard to get just because of what they've ran. And this is a bit of the tank experience sometimes, and I think it was a lot of their question is like, can you outplay what they're doing? Yes. Will that be the easiest route to you winning this game? Probably not. Let me see how the other team plays, though, and then I give you a much more definitive answer. It can be hindsight, right? But their comp on paper is tough to get value against for you as Winston. it's going to be a lot of what you're doing now. Jumping in, bubbling, getting out cooldowns, jumping back. And, like, that's how you have to play, which to some people could just be kind of dull. Because, like, you're not even able to play the character. You're just playing to, like, watch a character use an ability, and then you can't get in a limb after that, so. But I think if the way you're doing it right now is correct, because you got more out, right? There you go, nice. You now see cleanses out, and there you go.
Almost a year less than 3 less.
This is what you have to do to get value, and if you can do that every time without really hard feeding, then you can make it work. Helios, thanks for the 5 months of the tier 1. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. So far, what I will say, if I'm going to pause, the way that you're playing this right now against that comp is about as, I'm not going to say as perfect as you can play it, but you're pretty damn close. The reason being is because, like, you can't stay in team fights for too long, and sometimes, including myself, whenever I'm playing like a character like Winston, is sometimes you try to kind of overextend the damage you can do, and then you end up getting rolled because you're predicted not to take as much damage and you fall over. So, like, I would say like the way that you're playing it is pretty good. You're not staying in too long. You're not even like overextending if they get a cooldown out. You're just going, hey, I'm gonna play annoying and hope that it works, and then that happens. And there you go. I love how we had that whole discussion about not overextending, and that happens. You didn't really overextend, it just you didn't predict that was gonna happen. So yeah, I was gonna say, good job going for the high ground on the Moira, because that's gonna be the correct play there rather than dive in the other roof where the Roadhog's just sitting. You're actually playing this correctly. And we'll see how this goes against the Reaper. You have a little bit more value against Reaper now, but still not enough to, like, sit there and just face tank the whole time. Unless your HP gets to the armor threshold, right? Like, right now, your HP isn't at that armor threshold, so, like, yeah, so I'm going to pause there. Your tankiness is going to be more effective against the Reaper when the armor's there, right? But, like, when you don't have the armor, the last thing you want to do is keep re-peeking. And we kind of had just, like, talked about this with you where it was, like, you're going to be better off just not overextending a lot of the time like that and trying to force a play. Like, the first thing you did was correct. You kind of get them in a spot where they're there and you just get out. Like, you don't want to sit there and just, like, face tank them. Unless you have armor, then you have a little bit of timing. You just don't want to, like, take the 1v1. Unless you have the armor. Then you have more time. And that's where, like, the change really takes effectiveness, is when you have the armor on you. So, like, as Winston, you see how, like a little bit, like, what, 45%, 40% of your HP is armor? That is where you're going to have a good time against Reaper. After that, the Reaper's going to be able to destroy you. Unless, of course, you have them low, so you got to be careful of that. That's kind of where you overextend it a little bit. I don't mind that bubble, saving your teammate. Make sure to get out now so you don't get hooked, though, right? Because you're still in range of that hog being able to hook you. And I guess you're fine, but it just, you know, be careful of that. Okay. Yeah. So we call this trying to do too much. That's all this is. This has come to the point where, like, your team is starting to get snowballed a little bit. People ask what that means sometimes. It's, like, basically where you haven't been able to, like, have a team fight where you just win and like, you can, like, take a team fight as 5. But that is just one of those you're trying to do too much here. I think sometimes that can happen in Overwatch where, like, your team's getting rolled and you almost feel like you have to do something because you haven't been able to hit your buttons in a while. That is why I would say for you, be careful of just recognize that you have plenty of time and don't waste your ultimates like that. Just recognize you have time, and I think that's the first step. Obviously, if, like, there was only, like, 15 meters to go and you need to survive that and disrupt that, that's a different story, but you had another team fight to be able to use your ult. Now your retake is a lot worse. Your team's over-ulted because you're trying to make these plays, and now you're just going to fall over, right? And this is kind of how snowballs happen is where you feel like you have to win a team fight that you don't have to win. You all overuse your ultimate, and now you're just hacked. And on top of that, they are playing a comp against you that is, you now have way less value, so it's on your team to find that value elsewhere. And as of right now, your team hasn't found that value because Winston is now taken out of the game, which is why you probably make the D.Va swap after this. And I think you would mention that you went D.Va at a certain point. My guess is this is where you'll make that D.Va swap. Because as of right now, this can still be a little bit more difficult than you actually want it to be. Which is obviously not as ideal to, you know. How do you use your ult at the right moment? I mean, there isn't, like, a right moment for ults a lot of the time. I mean, there is, but, like, I think sometimes it's okay to use your ultimates proactively. It's just in that situation, the Winston's ult wasn't proactive. It was a defensive ultimate and a reactive ultimate that just led to not having, like, it's understanding the timings. If they're about to cap it, you use it there. If they're not about to cap it, you don't, and they weren't about to cap it. So you end up wasting an ultimate, you don't have a good retake, and then you fall over. So I think the D.Va swap is good here. You know, it's funny because, like, I don't mind D.Va against Hog, but I also feel like D.Va... Like, D.Va will be okay here. I'm just curious to see how it goes. So... Yep. See how this goes. I like the DM sound. It's cool. I like the sound. The sounds in general on this skinner is cool. Nice. Okay, force no cooldowns, which we talked about, right? Like, against their comp, that's what you have to do. Also, did one of them leave? Or DC? I just realized it's 4v5 now. Hopefully they come back. That sounds pretty cool. I like that. Okay, I do want to ask you a question. When you fly around like that, right? When you're flying in circles there, like, what's your overall vision? Because this is something that, like, as a D.Va player, I've had to, like, eventually kind of redo. It doesn't do as much damage as it used to, so when you fly around and you just kind of waste your cooldown, you're going to find that you're getting, like, zero value out of that. You know what I'm saying? Then what happens is you get hooked, you can't escape the hook, you can't get out of the team fight, you can't do any of this stuff, and then you just fall over. Granted, that doesn't happen here because it is a 4v5, but just be careful of, like, trying to waste your flight to do, like, 5 damage. It does a little bit more than 5 damage, but it doesn't do enough. They haven't also even, I don't think did they ever buff the boop damage since they changed the HP? I don't think they did. They went through and, like, updated a lot of abilities based off of, like, the increased HP. I don't think D.Va's, maybe they did. Did D.Va's flight get more damage? I don't think so. No, they did not? Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I think they had kept it the same, so, like, which probably just, like, is they probably should update it. I think a lot of heroes didn't get that updated much. But D.Va, yeah, D.Va gives you more value. Obviously, it helped they didn't have a 5th there, so now they're back to 5, which is nice. You want to see a good game. Taking the high ground control is good. Yep. Yeah, you did it again. Okay. So, like, you're trying to go for, like, these burst damage combos that aren't going to really burst damage combo, and you basically now have to waste your ultimate and lose your suit over just basically going up there and misplaying your cooldowns. That's it. So I want you to be very wary when you're playing D.Va of doing this, like, I'm going to fly into them, melee combo, do all of this stuff, because it's not doing as much burst damage as, like, it used to. I mean, from years ago with D.Va. And, like, you know how you, like, flew into them and you meleeed them? Make that your final play there. Just get out of there. Because you can still fly in melee, right? So you fly melee, and then you turn around and get out, right? You've done enough value there to where, like, they feel like they're forced to, like, overcommit to you, but you also keep your suit. And then I also want you to take a look right here, right? There's 8 seconds left on the clock, and I want you to look at what your 2 supports have HP-wise. Guess what? You getting out of there and having survivability now brings you back to your team, and now you have both your support ultimates that you can now lead with proactively. Instead, you have to use your D.Va ult early, which, I mean, maybe it gets in a limb, maybe it doesn't. Actually, what is this Reaper's timing? I don't know. But basically, you're not making it easy on yourself here, is basically what I'm saying. That Reaper got away. Now you're back in your suit. Now look at this. They got the ult first, right? Now you still might win this team fight. I mean, this is actually perfect. I actually love this. I love that that whole moment happened. I love that that whole moment happened. Why? Think about this. I want to start all the way back here because you're going to lose that team fight. So and these are the make or break plays that you said you, like, want to get back in the top 500. You feel like you can win on this, and you feel like you can play better, like, even with counters. I want you to think about, like, the chain of all this. Okay, you start up here, you get yourself to about half HP. You decide to overcommit to kill the Reaper. You get demech'd. You have to use your ultimate down here. All that ult charge that your supports would have gotten off of your suit didn't happen. What happens? The other team has their support ult first. They lead off with it. Now you have a Kiriko who couldn't use it in time, and you have a Moira at 99%. Do you see there? Right? How you went from making that play up here that was, like, a little bit over the top. So in reality, if you go down here, not only do you keep your ultimate during their influx of ultimates, you now have a Moira ultimate and a Kitsune, which you could argue having a Kitsune against that, where you can, like, just DM all of their damage and be in your suit and then still have your D.Va ult to, like, survive on the point. This team fight might look a lot different. So that's why I'm like, I just want you to be careful of going for, like, those burst damage plays as D.Va, because, like, it doesn't do as much damage as it used to. And it's worth going for it in the right situation, but that was not one of those situations. And at the very least, is you go in and you melee the Reaper, and instead of getting out, you stay in. And that melee timing is where you fly away because you can melee and still fly, and that is a difference maker. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a. I went on a little bit further there, but like they also want to figure out how to get back into top 500 and where like they can outplay, etc. And that's one of those situations where like it doesn't seem like it's a lot on paper because you just use your diva ult, but in reality that might actually just win you the fight if you don't do that. Went a little bit overboard on that one, but I felt like it was just worth talking about because you can see like how much of a difference that can make in that 2-second window. How if you play that even slightly different, it can lead to either a one-team fight or at least an even team fight. Mr. Giggles, thanks for the 2 months of the tier 1. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, here we go. You said that's how teachers teach. Oh, you're saying have a better teacher? No, I've never been a teacher. I'm just teaching the way that I would absorb knowledge, I guess. I don't know. All right, let's see how this goes. Any of the spectating stuff you submit on my Discord, no guarantee we get to it. It depends how entertaining it is, the story, etc. Okay, here we go. Okay. I'm gonna explain something to you in a second, because I see what you're trying to do, but I'm gonna explain why do you, like... Okay, so, I just want to pause, and I know that, like, you're gonna keep doing this, and whether or not it goes well or not, we'll see. But you're trying to battle for the high ground consistently, right? The only problem you're gonna run into is that, like, the more you do this, eventually you're gonna get grinded down. Remember, sometimes as D.Va, you don't have to keep flying up there, or if you're going to do it, you can take different approaches. Like, for example, you can fly over the roof here, come down here, and have a different approach, right? You're flying straight into them, which is eventually, it's working now, but, like, there's a chance that a Roadhog just hooks you and you just lose your cooldowns. Sometimes what I do here, and this is not the go-to play all the time, if at a certain point it's not working, you can just DM from below, right? Your DM range is really long. I'm going to see if you actually use DM here. I can, like, your DM range is really long. So, like, sometimes you don't even have to, like, do what you're doing here. I'm gonna find a spot where you just use DM. Okay. Did they show the DM in this? You can kind of see where the range is, but no, it isn't shown as well as it could. So, anyway, let's head back to you and see how this goes. The random chair on the roof? Yeah, I think that was the... Yeah. There you go. Now your teammate had to use cleanse on you. Now you have no cleanse, and you're flying at them again. You do have a Sojourn ult, though, so I'll give you this for now, but even then, I think this is a little bit too overextended. Nice. Good exit, though. That was the correct play to exit out that way rather than do the point. That was a good play. See how it goes. Yeah, so I don't even think I need to tell you not to do that. I think you probably know after you did that, that was not the play. I have done this before. Every time I do it, the same result happens. I have tried that play so many times, and the same thing happens. I land behind them. There's always that 1 or 2 players who somehow have just managed to stand here AFK the whole time in this little room, and then they roll me. Happens all the time. I have done this before. That play is a very risk-reward play. It's very risk-reward. Like, it is... He said if it hit, though, that's true. That's true. I've tried this play. It barely works. It doesn't mean it won't work. It just... The risk-reward of that play can be difficult, so... Did you saw the vision? Oh, so did I. I've had that vision. Okay. I'm curious on your swap here. Yeah, I'm only curious because... And I'll see how the team fight goes. I mean, it could go in your favor. But the reason why I'm curious on this one is that you're also in the last fight territory. So, like, this is a hero that could get shredded against the last fight and doesn't bring the same value as, let's say, a defense matrix. That's why I'm trying to figure out what the play was here. But you know what? I'm gonna see how it goes, and we'll see. swap Bastion. Well, that's one of the tough parts there, right? That's why I like D.Va here, because it's a safer pick. Because you still have your D-Mech, and you can also DM some of the damage. Yeah. Okay, so let's just talk about this, because you mentioned, like, oh, you believe that, like, if you're really good at the hero, you should be able to win these games, etc. Anyway, I can tell you this much: if a really good Winston was in this situation right here on top 500, it's very rare they'd be able to make a play off of this. And the only reason why they'd be able to make a play off of this is if they had like a Tracer or somebody who's working with them to go into their backline. You have a Torb and a Sojourn. The only other way is if Sojourn gets somebody one shot and then calls it. Like, you went Winston on a last team fight in overtime against a Roadhog to begin with, then they can swap Bastion. You're just not... This isn't making the correct hero selection at that point. You were fine on D.Va, in my opinion. And I think the swap to Winston, yeah, listen. You want to swap to Winston, second point, first time around, sure. But if you're in an overtime team fight, right, and you have one team fight on cart, the last thing you want to do is switch to a 15% ult charge Winston. What I mean by that is you're going to, at the very most, get 15% ult charge, and you're going to get almost zero value. You notice how long you were out of the team fight? If you dove the cart, you would have been out of the team fight even longer because they would have gotten you right away. You had no way to do anything against them, right? It was going to be so reliant on your teammates. That's why I like the D.Va here in that situation, because you have the defense matrix, and at the very worst, you have like the ability to maybe survive your remech, and you can also eat their damage. As Winston, your bubble's going to get shredded and you fall over. So I think for you, like, I think like mechanically, like when you play Winston, you understand what you want to do. I just think like a few of the decisions you made can be the make or break this game, right? Like think about where you lose this game at, and like when you had the moment up here as D.Va, and then when you had the moment here to switch to Winston. Those two moments can be super make or break. And that really is what ended up happening, is it was make or break on those two decisions. Now, not all on you. Obviously, you have teammates, and there's things that like everybody can do in that situation. But like, we're working on what you can focus on to improve and get back to where you want to get to, or know you want to get to, right? And that's kind of what I saw here. All right. Yeah, I would say work on a little bit of that decision making, and I think mechanically it's fine. I think D.Va, I want you to really focus on, like, stop trying to make like your D.Va like movement, like, sorry, your D.Va play as like you almost wanted to like show off mechanically that you can do all those moves, and I do that a lot on D.Va too. But you have to have a rhyme or a reason as to why you do that, right? And just flying into them to melee and then do like a spin move and then just get hooked and like demacked, or like to go into their team and do what you did. It start with the basics and keep those basics going, and then the rest can happen once you get the basics fully down. And I think you have that capability. It just almost felt like you're trying to do too much. And sometimes you simplifying your gameplay is the first step to kind of like being able to do all the advanced stuff, because if you don't have the basics down, then you won't be able to, when you do all like the fancy stuff, you won't be able to fall back on those basics because you're just doing purely the fancy stuff. So I would recommend doing that too. And keep in mind, I make very similar mistakes on D.Va sometimes. I try these really cool movements in the air, and the next thing I know, I hit a wall, and then I have no mech, and I'm like, well, it looked cool while I was doing it, but you know what wasn't cool? Losing that team fight. So, it happens. But yeah, you can definitely improve. I think you can get back to top 500. Like, I can see the vision, and a lot of it you did, but like, it just came down to two decisions at the end there, so you got this. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to all three YouTubes if you haven't. If you want to submit your own spectating, look in the description below. You'll see my Discord. That's where you do that. Leave a comment. All of that helps. We also record these live on stream. You can see the Twitch chat right there below the webcam. Stop by if you haven't. We have a lot of fun here. And with that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day/night.